Welcome and join 15,000 people across the state celebrating teachers on this very day at this very moment.
Recognize and thank you for all that you do on behalf of the students of California every day. Thank you. We are thrilled to host the summit here with over 1,100 educators registered to attend at Cal State Fullerton and over 13,000 registered across the state. As you can imagine, planning an event of this scope takes tremendous effort. I'd like to recognize the three organizing partners that have worked all year to plan this unique event: the California State University, the Association of Independent California Colleges and Universities, and the New Teacher Center. This is, as you know, this is a free day of celebrating, learning, and networking for teachers. You'll notice there are no vendors here, and no one is trying to sell anyone anything. However, as you can imagine, there are costs associated with producing the summit, and so we would like to thank our generous sponsors who have made the event possible. I'm going to list them for you. Thank you. 100K in 10, SD Bechtel Jr. Foundation, Boeing Corporation, California Department of Education, Chevron, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Google, James Irvine Foundation, Isabel Foundation, OC STEM Initiative, David and Lucille Packard Foundation, Charles and Helen Schwab Foundation, Schools First, Federal Credit Union, Silver Giving Foundation, and Wells Fargo. So again, thanks to our generous sponsors for their support for the benefit of California's teachers and students. So let's have a great day of learning and sharing. We truly are better together. Thank you.
Please welcome your co-host, Hallie Yap Slowick.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and at one of the nearly 40 sites across the state to celebrate you. I hope you're as excited as I am to get this day started. I am so pleased to be able to introduce our first keynote speaker. He is one of the most sought-after actors in Hollywood. Over his 40-year career, he's appeared in more than 200 films and TV shows, including hits like Law & Order, Desperate Housewives, HBO's award-winning series Oz. He currently stars in Netflix hit show Grace and Frankie and has a recurring role in ABC's Modern Family. He is perhaps best known for his starring role in the Ghostbusters franchise, and you'll recognize him from the Ghostbusters reboot in theaters now. But his road to fame has had its share of hardships. Growing up in poverty, he has overcome significant adversity to get to where he is today. His story is an inspiring testament to the power of education in helping kids succeed against all odds. He is truly a lifelong learner, and he is passionate about ensuring that all students, no matter what their background, have access to a quality education. Please join me in welcoming Ernie Hudson.
Hey. Oh, hi. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wow, yeah, I'm so excited to be here with you guys this morning. I mean, this is like really, really cool. But I got to tell you, well, first I want to welcome you to the second annual California Teachers Summit 2016. It's great to be here. Like I said, I'm very excited. But I have to say that if any of my high school or elementary school teachers knew that I was speaking here today, they would die. Okay? I mean, if they're not already dead, they would actually die, because this is not what they expected of me. But here I am, and I'm very happy to be here, and very happy We are here today to show you our appreciation and support and to encourage you guys to take the next couple of days and come together and share ideas and come up with new ways that you can continue doing the incredible work that you do. I'm an actor. I've been acting for actually next year will be 50 years. Some of you might recognize me from, I think she might have mentioned, movies like Ghostbusters, The Crow, The Hand Rocks the Cradle, Congo, Miss Congeniality, TV show like Oz and Law and Order. And I'm currently shooting 3 TV series. One is with Netflix called Grace and Frankie with Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda. I'm Lily Tomlin's love interest, which is a new place for me to be in my life. But I'm happy to be there. I do another series that'll start airing in about a month called Graves with Nick Nolte and Celia Ward. And in a couple of weeks, I go to Chicago to start shooting a Fox series called APB. And so things are really, really at a very, very cool place. I've been very blessed, and I can honestly say that I have a lot of teachers to credit for any success that I'm experiencing today. You guys are amazing. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about making America great. I say, well, let's start by showing a little more love for our teachers. Okay? I mean, really, let's start by investing more in our children and in our schools. I'm sure, as I stand here, most of you guys, you teachers, you have that handful of students, the really cool kids who sit in the front row and they raise their hand, and they have all the answers, and they're really excited about learning, and I know you're really proud of those kids, and you should be, but I'm not one of those kids, okay? I was a little kid in the back of the room with an attitude. I didn't raise my hand a lot. I didn't really participate, and unfortunately, I've come to regret that, because now I realize that there were a lot of teachers who had a lot to offer, and I didn't take advantage of it, and I know that that was my loss, not theirs. I travel countries, I travel all over the world. I meet a lot of young people. I encourage them to take advantage of the opportunity to get an education, and don't take it lightly, because times are changing. There's no guarantee that it's always going to be there. Tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Benton Harbor, Michigan. My folks moved to Michigan from Arkansas around the early and mid 1940s. My mom stayed behind where she got pregnant with me. She also contracted tuberculosis, which was the #1 killer at the time. And when she became too ill, she came up north to be with the family to give birth to me. She gave birth to me alone. I've never really understood that, but I guess my relatives had some important stuff to do that day. But when they arrived, I was apparently waiting with an attitude. But my mom died about 3 months after I was born, so I never knew my mother. And because she got pregnant away from the family, I never knew my dad, and nobody else knew my dad, which actually wasn't a bad thing, because everybody knew my brother's dad, and they hated him, okay? So at least they didn't have anything bad to say about my father. My grandmother raised me. My grandmother was born in 1895, and she had never gone to school, period. Her one wish for me, or the one thing she asked of me, was that I finish high school. Because I guess in 1895, if you had a high school diploma, that was, you were good to go. But in 1964, when I graduated, not so much. My family, we stayed pretty much with our own communities. We didn't venture out too much. We didn't go to libraries. We didn't visit museums. If there was anything resembling a vacation, we visited relatives nearby. We didn't go anywhere where we thought we'd be embarrassed or were just unwanted. We had a very limited view of the world. I'm sure you can pretty much imagine that, and we didn't understand that. We We didn't know that. I'm telling you this not so that you feel sorry for me. Please don't, because I got to tell you, I had a great childhood. I can honestly say there's never been a day in my life that I didn't know beyond the shadow of a doubt that I was loved, okay? My relatives loved me. But I'm telling you this because I'm sure a lot of you have kids in your classroom who seem unreachable. But believe me, they can be reached. They desperately want to be reached. And for the sake of all of us, they need to be reached. My grandmother shared a couple lessons with me that I've taken with me throughout my life. It sort of helped me get through some difficult times I'd like to share with you today. When I was a little kid, the most difficult thing I had to come to terms with, and there are a lot of kids like me, I didn't have a dad. That was hard for me to kind of wrap my head around. I mean, I didn't have a mom, but my mom died, and as much as a little kid can understand that. But who was my father? I mean, it really bothered me. I don't have a daddy. I mean, come on. Like, where's my dad? One of my earliest memories is my grandmother sitting me down, and she said, "Baby, God is your father." I'm like, "Mama, God is everybody's father." She said, "Yes, but everybody don't know it. So I'm telling you this so that you will always know it. God is your father." And I'm thinking, God is my father. Now, if she had told me that when I was a teenager, I probably would have just blown it off and said, "That's just mama talking stuff." But as a little kid, I really needed something to sort of hold on to. And I'm thinking, God is my father. And God, the creator of the entire universe, is like my father, the source of all life that flows through everything and everybody. I mean, that's my father. She said, God didn't just create me, but God was aware of me. And that it was a source that I could go to, that I could talk to, that I could ask questions of, and that I could expect answers. I mean, I would walk to school, and I'd be outside, and I'd look around and see all the birds and the bees and the different trees and plants and all the colors and smells and sounds, and I'm thinking, all this creation. And in the middle of all this creation, God found time to create me. I mean, my grandmother told me that the universe would be incomplete without me. I felt very, very special. Another thing that she told me was that, she said, "Baby, you were born a winner. You won." So the odds of any of us ever being born are so astronomical, it's like zero. But yet here we are. We won the biggest prize of all. We get to live these amazing lives. But they're not amazing unless you kind of know it. She said, "You are a winner." But she said, "You got to lose sometimes." It's winning and losing. But because you lose, it ain't like you a loser. I mean, it's okay. It's okay to win. Let somebody else win sometime. And when they win, celebrate them winning. It's good. You know? I've never understood people who want to win all the time. I mean, come on. Let somebody else have the spotlight. You know? She said, but you don't want to lose all the time either. I mean, win is something. But it's important that we know and that our children feel that we're winners. We are born winners. I know that there are a lot of things going on, especially in the current political situation, some of the things that you guys are facing in school. It's a really interesting time. We have to remind ourselves that these issues didn't start with us. These things didn't start with my generation or the generation before or the generation before that. They go back a long way. I went to the Benton Harbor school system. It was kind of integrated, Before my class, the school was all white. But the government built some colored projects. They had colored projects and white projects. They built some colored projects in the city limits, so we got to go to the previously all-white school. And my elementary school was pretty cool. It was really nice. My favorite class was my second grade class. I had Mrs. Edwards. She was a really pretty teacher. And if you're really good in class, then she'd let you sit on her lap while she read to the other students. I worked really hard in that class. I like this, you know. But when we got to junior high and high school, things changed. They had a tracking program. They had the academic, the general, and the practical group. Now, the academic was for all the kids who were going to go on to college. That was all white. And then they had the general group for the kids who were going to do, like, I don't know, general stuff. And that was mostly white with a sprinkling of one or two black kids. And then they had the practical program. Now, the practical program was for the educationally challenged, you know, the unlearnables, you know, kids who are going to grow up and be laborers or gangsters or I don't know. Anyway, but you can imagine which group I was in. In fact, if you were black in Ben Harbor at that time, you were in the practical program, with the exception of one white guy, okay? Now, if you were the one white guy in the practical program, you really had some learning issues. We didn't get normal classes. For example, we weren't allowed to take algebra or geometry. We had shop math. Now, no, don't be mistaken. This is not a class on how to learn how to shop. No, this was practical stuff, you know, like how to screw in a light bulb or how to count to 10 without using your fingers. It was very strange. I didn't know exactly what we learned. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention. For example, I didn't have an 8th grade English class. My English teacher came and took the roll and then asked us to please keep the noise down, and then she left. I was told by more than one teacher that none of us in that group would ever go to college. They did that for our benefit because they didn't want us to be disappointed from trying too hard. But something happened when I got in the 11th grade. We got a new guidance counselor, Mr. Kirby. He was a really unusual and special person. He talked to me, didn't talk at me. And he asked me a lot of questions that really started me thinking. He said, you're going to be graduating very soon, and what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And I couldn't answer that. I had no clue. I didn't know. He showed me my test scores from the 8th grade to the 9th grade, and when I went into the 9th grade, they had dropped drastically, and what had happened. And then I remembered when I was going into high school, my brother and his friends sat me down, and they told me, now look, when you take those aptitude tests, you got to get all the answers wrong, okay? Don't answer the questions right, because you answer those questions right, you're going to have the hard classes, man, and you're going to have a lot of homework, okay? High school ain't going to be no fun. So apparently I followed their advice, but he did something amazing. He somehow got me out of the practical program and put me in regular classes. In my last year of high school, I met Mr. Harris, who was a really good teacher, went above and beyond, sort of was there to answer questions, helped me not just with his class, but helped me just kind of figure some things out. I got my best grades in my last year of high school. When I graduated, my grandmother was really happy, but I was like lost. I mean, what do I do now with the rest of my life? I decided that I was going to join the Marines, be one of the few, the proud. I was going to travel the world, meet ladies. I joined the Marines, and after 9 weeks, I was discharged with asthma and found myself back at home. I was seeing a girl who had some difficulties at home. She didn't like her mother. So since I was a man, I needed a wife. So we got married and moved into my grandmother's house. A word to the wise. If you get married, don't move into your grandmother's house, okay? My grandmother was the kindest lady. I mean, I never saw my grandmother dislike anybody. She would help anybody. My grandmother hated my wife. I mean, she hated her. And my wife hated my grandmother. And the two of them under the same roof, it was crazy. But I had to get out of there. I got a job as a janitor. And then my wife got pregnant. And that's when it hit me that this is my life. I didn't have a dad. I want to be a good dad. But what's going to happen? I didn't know what to do. Well, at the time, like I said, I got a job as a janitor, but on the weekend, I was doing some gardening work for a rich lady. I knew she was rich because she lived in the house and she wore nice clothes, so she had to be rich. But it was a hot summer day, and I was working, and she came outside, and she said, Ernest, would you like some lemonade? And I really wanted lemonade, but, you know, I said, yes, ma'am. So she poured some lemonade, and she stood there while I was drinking it, you know, that kind of thing you just sort of want. So I'm drinking lemonade, and she says, I understand you graduated from high school. And I said, yes, ma'am. She says, oh, that's wonderful. What are your aspirations? I said, just something to say. I said, I don't know. I think I'll go to college. She said, oh, no. She says, college isn't for everyone. I said, well, your kids go to college, right? She says, oh, well, yes, but that's different. Now, I never wanted to go to college before, but now I want to go to college, okay? I'm going to college. But, well, there's a little problem. I applied everywhere. And I got rejected everywhere. Even at junior colleges, I couldn't get in college anywhere. I guess that's where that 1.7 GPA comes into play. I didn't understand. I mean, 1.7 is kind of like a C, right? Minus the D. Anyway, I couldn't get in. I finally went to the admission counselor at Wayne State University, who let me in on probation. It was difficult because I really wasn't prepared, but I had some wonderful instructors and people who really were there for the students. They helped me. I worked hard. Papers that would take friends of mine 2 hours to write took me days, but I was determined. I learned some study skills that I should have learned in the second grade instead of trying to figure out how to get on somebody's lap. But and at this time, I also had a family. I had to work and, you know, keep a roof over our heads. I found out that if I got a 3-point average, I could get a scholarship. And so I worked and I got a 4-point average and I got a scholarship, and it was good. In the fall of 1967, I took an acting class. I walked into a theater and I walked on stage, and I knew I was home. I knew that I was in the game. I could win this game. I graduated from Wayne State. I got a full scholarship to Yale School of Drama. My then wife, she, who was in high school when we got married, she got into Wayne State, got her bachelor's. She went on to the University of Michigan, got her master's, and got her PhD from the University of Minnesota. All the while, she had a couple of kids. But after my first year at Yale, the marriage was over. I didn't see that coming. You know when everybody gets it, but you, I mean, even the dog knows it's over. You say to the dog, like, get out of here. And the dog look at you like, I ain't the one going anywhere. So my wife said, it's over. You got to go and take the kids with you. And I'm like, whoa, what do you mean take the kids with me? I can't take the kids. I'm a man. I mean, guys don't take, the mothers take the kids. I'm not. And she said, you taking the kids. So I didn't have a dad. I want to be a dad. So I took my kids and we came to California. And you guys know the story from there. I didn't take the dog, though, okay? I wasn't taking the dog. But, I'd like to share something with you guys. And I have 4 amazing sons. They're really very, very amazing people. I'm very proud of all of them. One of my sons has a mild form of autism, PDD, NOS, I think it's called. We recognized that very early, and we got him with an amazing preschool teacher. She was incredible, got him really excited about learning. In first grade, he just went right in, and he did great, got good grades, very happy to go to school. In the fourth grade, he got a teacher, Mr. Squires. He's in the Round Meadow school system, which is close by here. And Mr. Squires got him excited about math and science. He would give him these wonderful quizzes that he loved to do. In the fifth grade, the teacher who was assigned to teach the class had to drop out just before school started. And they got a new teacher who had never taught before. About a month or so after school started, my son started to withdraw. He suddenly started making up excuses. He didn't want to go to school anymore. He just wasn't happy. And finally, I got him to open up and explain what was going on. He said the teacher was making fun of him in front of the other students, and the kids were laughing at him. I got a meeting with the teacher, and she admitted that all the things that he had said had happened not quite that way. He just misunderstood. She pointed out his mistakes to the other students so that they wouldn't make the same mistake. And then she says, oh, come on. I mean, you have to know that he's not as bright as the other students. And then she did, and I'm not making this up, she said, I'm a big fan of yours. Can I get an autograph? So I went to the principal and I said, listen, you got to get my kid out of his class. I mean, and the principal, very nice lady who I spent a lot of time in school and I felt I knew pretty well, she sympathized. She said, I understand. And she said, I really wish there was something I can do about it. But she said, the problem is a lot of the parents aren't happy with the teacher. And if I move your child, then it's not fair to them. So if you could just make it through this year, we'll be able to do something about it. Well, I couldn't leave my kid in that class for the year. I had to get him out of there. I found this school that had a good reputation, a very expensive private school, only had 7 kids to a classroom. We got him enrolled there, and he just became even more. I mean, he got to a point where he just almost stopped talking. I didn't understand it. The last day of school, I had a meeting with that teacher, and she said, well, the problem is he's not getting along with the other students. He's not really blending in very well. And she said, he has a lot of issues. And she said, I'm not even sure he can put his coat on without assistance. Now, I know my son, and this is like, no. So I'm like, we've had meetings before. Why haven't you mentioned any of this before? The last day of school, and now you're telling me all this stuff. So we moved him from that school, and we got him in a school that had some wonderful educators who really took the time, got him back on track. He started enjoying going to school. He graduated from high school, went on to college. He's written a couple of books. He writes now for a national magazine. He's great. But he never quite recovered from that teacher. He never got his confidence back. After that year, they did get rid of that teacher. I was told she's not allowed to teach in that district, but I was a little late for my son. I don't tell you this as an indictment or anything against teachers, but just a reminder of the power and influence you have over the minds of these kids. I was told a story once about a man who was locked in a dark room, and in the room there was a snake, and the man was paralyzed with fear. He was afraid that the snake was going to bite him. And for a brief moment, the light came on, just for a moment. But in that moment, he looked across, and what he thought was a snake was a rope. The light went back out, but the room was never the same. You guys are the light in these kids' lives. For a brief moment, you have them. you have a chance to turn a light on in them, to show them a perspective that they may never get anywhere else in life. It's not a small task, I know, but it's a really, really important role. When I was a kid, I used to go to, with my mother every Saturday, we'd go and we'd clean the church. Every Saturday it was like, and when I was a little guy, it was kind of fun. I'd go with Mama and I'd help her out. But as I got older, I really started to kind of resent it, you know what I mean? Because we would go every Saturday morning, we'd clean the church. We didn't get paid. People didn't half the time say thank you. In fact, I don't think a lot of people even knew we were doing it. And so finally I said, Mama, why are we coming up here every Saturday to clean this church? It makes no sense, and I'm not doing it. So she said, baby, come help me. I'm like, no. So I threw the broom down. I walked outside. I was mad. Sat on the church steps. I ain't cleaning church, these people. We had a brother Cole. He's a very soft-spoken man. He was an amazing man. There was something about him. Everybody liked Brother Cole. The gangsters liked Brother Cole. The saints liked Brother Cole. He had integrity. There was just something about the way he carried himself. He saw me sitting there and he came up to me and he said, son, what's the matter? I said, Brother Cole, we come up here and we clean this church, and Mama's old and she's in there on her knees scrubbing and I just let it all out. I just do everything, and another thing, and then another thing, and another thing. And he let me just sort of just get it all out. And finally he said, son, he said, do it anyway. The Lord will bless you. Now, the Lord will bless you. It's like in church, everybody says, the Lord will bless you. But it was something about the way Brother Cole said it. It was over 55 years ago, I can still hear his voice. Do it anyway. And over the years, when things get a little tough, I went back into church and I cleaned that church for how many years until I got to high school. When things got a little tough, I would say, okay, God, come on. Now, I cleaned the church, okay? But as I've gotten older, the real takeaway for me was the do it anyway. You know, the time that my grandmother went, I didn't understand at first, but it was the best times that we had together. We do what we do because that's what we do. You do it anyway. I know a lot of you guys will probably never get the pay that you deserve. You'll probably never get the thanks and appreciation, even sometimes the respect from the administration or the parents, students. I never went back to thank Brother Cole or Mr. Kirby or Mr. Harris. But you do it anyway. And I promise you, the Lord will bless you. You guys have a great summer. Thank you all so much.